everybody. Welcome to Before College TV. I am so excited because I have Nicole Rafiee here. And Nicole, she's a college student at Temple University. She is also a YouTuber who has, I would say, by the time this is happening, 150,000 subscribers. I mean, it's really amazing. You are so fascinating. You're a former RA. You also were at Chipotle for 4 years, right? You were a specialist. What was your title at Chipotle?
A takeout specialist.
You were
I
a
did
takeout
catering.
specialist.
Yeah.
Right. So you really have developed a specialty there. So we can dig into that too. But you are a leader. You're interesting. You're so vulnerable. And I'm so grateful that you can be here. So thank you, Nicole.
Thank you. I'm so
Do
excited.
you want me to call you Nikki? Because I know you started off as Nikki. Like, do you go by Nikki?
Yeah, I go by Nikki. Nikki's fine.
Because like your earliest videos, you started more like, what was your nickname?
I kind of just started off with Nicole, and Nikki has been like a long-term nickname, and then I just kind of put it out there, and then it kind of stuck. People were like, okay, I like Nikki too. So yeah.
So Nikki. So do you want me to call you Nikki?
Sure.
You dig
That's
that?
fine.
Yeah. All right. You can call me Harley.
Cool.
No one ever calls me Harley. That's just bizarre.
Harley and Nikki.
Yeah. Well, I figure it would just work. Okay. So the way this works, Nikki, I want to learn all about you. I want to learn about how you started as a YouTuber. I mean, you haven't been doing this for that long, which is really fascinating to me because you have a wonderful following. But more than anything, I want to start off and just find out how you're doing. So my first question for you, okay? And we'll get like deeper into you, some of these questions. On a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being that you are the most fantastic you've ever been, 1 being that you are just pretending to be happy because you look really happy, right? And you could be lying. This could be a horrible day. You might have cried this morning.
I probably did, yeah.
Yeah, okay. So on a scale of 1 to 10, what are you right now?
I think I would say I'm like a 6 or 7. I think a 6 or a 7. Just with like everything that's going on. I don't know. I think it goes by like a day-by-day basis. Like some days I'm like, oh, everything's fine and whatever. And then other days, like this morning, I woke up and I'm like, everything sucks. Like everything is the worst. And then things get better throughout the day. But I think right now, maybe like a 6 or 7. In this current moment right now, maybe like a 10. I'm happy to be here.
Well, that's nice. Well, thank you for that. But it is interesting. I think that given our Corona quarantine and the fact that you were in college 2 weeks ago, is that right?
Yeah, 2 weeks ago.
Like, that's crazy, right?
Yeah, it is.
Right. So that brings me to my next question. So let's say coronavirus never happened and you were back at Temple doing your thing. It is March 27th. It's Friday. We're doing this right now at 5:02 your time, 4:02 my time. So if life hadn't taken the turn, tell me exactly what you would be doing right now in that alternative universe.
I think I 100% would have been doing something similar to what I'm doing right now, which is at home, at my desk, probably editing Sunday's video for my channel.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's what your life is like.
That's like my typical like Friday night, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, no, let's be honest. Do you ever go out? Like, do you ever like get nuts?
If I'm being honest, rarely. Like genuinely, like rarely. I think this entire semester, once.
Really?
Yeah, I don't really like to go out, to be honest, at college. It's not really my scene.
So like this is the best case scenario for you.
Yeah, it is.
This is like,
honestly, yeah. When everything like started to happen, like when I completely understand, like for other people, it's like it's extremely inconvenient and it's terrible for some people because they're not able to do, go to their jobs or anything else. And for me, I kind of looked at it from the bright side of things, which is a very privileged thing to say, but I was very lucky that I can do my job from home and that I'm like, okay, then I'll just have more time to make content for people.
Yeah. So that, I mean, that's what's fascinating about you is that you're making content constantly. And I want to get into your schedule because one of the questions that I want to address is how do you, and you get this all the time. So it's like, what's coming, like, right? It's like, how do you become a YouTuber, and
Mm-hmm.
how do you get a following and all that, which I would love to ask that. I'm going to kind of tease that, but that's the question that every 11 and 12-year-old asks me, because I'll
Yes.
ask them when I do events. I'm like, what do you guys want to be? And they're like, we want to be a YouTuber. So we're going to get that from you, but I want to get a little more into just like what's going on and like vibe with the moment. So you're pretty chill. You don't get out a lot. And you spend your time working and doing your videos. Okay, cool. And then when is the last time, this is the next question. Okay. When is the last time you have physically touched another human being?
Oh my God. Um, oh, my mom checked my blood pressure this morning. She said
Oh,
I
really?
was, yeah, she was like, you seem tense. She's like, let's check your blood pressure. It was normal, but
Yeah.
she did. And I think she was joking, but like I like touched her hand or something. She's like, don't touch me.
She
But yeah.
actually like touched your, she could do your blood pressure with her hand.
No, no, no. Like the whole like wrap
Your
around the
mom
arm
brought
kind of
down like
thing.
a blood pressure unit.
Yeah. Yeah. We have
Yeah,
one in
she
my
just
house.
has one of those at all times.
Yeah, just to just check.
That's the kind of family you come from, where your mom's
Yeah,
just constantly like got medical
kind
equipment
of.
hanging.
Because as soon as like she was done with me, she like went to up to my stepdad, who was not complaining of like feeling ill
Yeah.
or anything, and she's like, "I'm gonna check your blood pressure."
Well, so that's fascinating. And what was your blood pressure? Do you remember what it was?
118 over whatever is normal.
It's very nice. Okay.
Yeah, it is good.
Yeah, that's fascinating. So your mom checked your blood pressure this morning, and it
Yeah,
was,
but prior to that, she's probably the only person that I've like touched in the last 2 weeks. A
yeah,
hug here and there.
right. It's amazing the amount of the lack of physical contact. I'm married, and I have a wife, and I have not kissed her in over 2 weeks.
Oh no.
Isn't
Well,
that
I mean, oh
crazy?
yeah, like that. I mean, that's you shouldn't, but that's wow.
No, that's normal for us. That's not a
Oh.
quarantine. No, no, I'm kidding. We kiss frequently, but I was having some symptoms, and we just weren't sure. And she was, we're not quite sure. So yeah, it was weird. Cause I'm like, it's been 2 weeks, and it was really sad. I don't need to get into your love life, but if you want to get into your love life, because I know a lot of people who follow you are very curious about your love life. And do you talk about your love life?
I mean, occasionally here and there. I've had a boyfriend for like the last 2.5 years, and we're long distance. And so I've made like a few videos here and there about like us being long distance. Like, I think only two, and it's when I go to North Carolina and like visit him.
Hmm.
Um, but other than that, I don't really include him in videos. I occasionally like post photos with him and stuff. But I
Yeah.
get a lot of questions frequently when I don't post with him for a while and being like, did you and Adam break up? And I'm like, no, we just haven't seen each other because we're long distance.
Yeah.
But
So
yeah.
are you going to see him? When are you going to see him again?
Well, his school also shut down. But he is an engineer, so he has to use his noggin a little bit harder than I do sometimes. And so it's best for him to be in North Carolina with all of his like roommates who are also engineers and be able to like work on like actual problems together, like school problems and stuff.
Right.
And like whereas me, I'm a media studies and production major, so all of my stuff is like solo and independent. But he might be coming back to Pennsylvania, but if he is, we probably won't see each other till this is like all over.
Yeah, because
So
that's how I was kind of getting at. It's like, even if he's around, like
yeah,
you're long distance and he comes home, is he from
we're still long
Pennsylvania?
distance. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like you can't touch him. It's like
No.
you'd have to distant, right? Because you can't. Are you taking this seriously, Nicole?
Yes.
You're like, really?
No, genuinely, like I'm
You go to
taking
the
this very
grocery
seriously.
store?
I haven't been to I've been to the grocery store Sunday, and that was the first time that I was there for a while. And I'm like, Mom, come on, let's get in and out. Like, we made a list. Let's go for just that thing and let's get out.
Right.
And no, we take it very, very seriously. Like, my family and I, we don't let anyone in the house. We're not going anywhere. We
Right.
are just staying put. So yeah.
So you're isolated, and it's great because it's really challenging. It looks like it's been challenging you lately because you have this amazing YouTube channel, and you have been really creative. I've been seeing, coming up with ideas, even the outfits that you've been wearing to your Zoom lecture. I love that.
I tried to be.
Yeah. But when it comes to your outfits, you're going to run out soon because you're trapped. Are you ordering more clothing?
Absolutely not. We don't support fast fashion. We are not ordering clothes. No, I honestly, I'm an outfit repeater. Who cares? Who's gonna see it? My 90-person lecture?
Yeah.
Crucify me for wearing the same shirt twice.
It was really funny when you talked about how you had a teacher who said that you had a test.
Yes.
Tell me
Yeah,
about
I
that.
was reading the email and my professor said, make sure to dress to impress for our first Zoom meeting. And I was like, some people don't even turn on their cameras. What do I need to impress for? And I was
Right.
like, what does she mean by impress? Am I wearing a blazer? Am I
Pants.
pants? Like what is the criteria for impress?
Right. I love that your teacher's making these demands
I know.
for your Zoom class. So let's go back in time 2 weeks, and you're at school, and you were in college. And I know you're talking about how in the video you have a great video, and maybe in post I'll at least I'm going to share all the links to the videos that I'm referring to because they're shot so well. I love
Thank
your
you.
choice of music. Like, you got amazing music, and I know you really
Thank
work
you.
hard. Like, there's just so much I want to talk to you about. So everyone can check that out because it's just really cool stuff. You're very talented and you tell great stories. So
Thank you.
so let's go back a couple weeks, and you're on campus, and just tell me like how this evolved and how it impacted you and how it impacted the people around you.
Yeah. So are we talking about like once they made the decision that they were
Yeah, like
closing or prior?
the day before they make the decision, and
Yeah.
then the day of, because that 48 hours was pretty crazy.
Yeah. So the first school to close down, which is like local to me, was Westchester University. And I think that was like the first moment when I was like, oh, close for the rest of the semester. That was like the first I was hearing about a school closing for the rest of the semester. And I was like, that is pretty serious. But if they're closing, my school will most likely close. And I was kind of excited because I was like, I wouldn't mind, just not paying rent anymore and kind of moving home. Like, I wouldn't mind. But it just like a lot of things were just up in the air. And a lot of my professors were like, all right, there's some rumors around that we might be closing. I don't think it'll close, but we're just playing it by ear. Whereas, like, my one professor, he was like, well, I'm just going to move classes online starting now. Like, I'm not even going to risk it. And we're just going to, so it'll flow more naturally. And
Okay.
I was like, we'll just see what happens from then on. And yeah, a lot of people were very angry because a lot more schools were shutting down and Temple was not saying really much of anything for a while. And so a lot of people were angry and like panicking, and like a lot on social media, like, you are risking people's lives. And people just came back from because we have some like international campuses, like we have like Temple Japan, Temple Rome, and
Yeah.
everyone was coming back, and we were like, this is the worst time because it's just gonna be crazy. So yeah, it was definitely a wild, like 48 hours, like you were saying, crazy. It was like madness, and a lot of speculation of like when we were going to close, how long we were going to close for.
Were
Yeah.
people crying? Was there crazy
Well,
emotions? Were people partying like nuts? Because I've heard of people
yeah.
like getting crazy because they're like, our year's over. We're gonna just like transports, and people know what transports are. You know,
Yeah.
you're an RA. Transports are when
Yeah.
you're so drunk they throw you in the hospital.
Right. Yeah, when the news got announced, it was at night, and I remember it was a Wednesday night, I think. And they the news like went out, an email got sent out and everything, and apparently people like on the main street in Philly were like screaming, everyone was like going crazy, they were throwing parties and everything. Yeah, it was wild. And, sorry, my cat's crying, but yeah.
That's the same cat that was making noise during your Zoom lecture.
Yes, literally the same one. You saw my tweet.
Yeah, that's
I was
funny.
like, everyone please say bless you to my cat who just sneezed.
Oh,
But
that's
yeah,
great.
it was a crazy time. A lot of people were partying. A lot of people were, I'm sure there were transports. If I was still in RA, then I would have experienced that. But yes, I'm going to let him out. Keep talking.
Yeah, yeah, that's great. So you get to see the whole. This is what it's like. So you're
Yeah.
getting inside look into Nikki's life, and this
Yeah,
is what it's like. The cat makes noise. He gets up. See,
literally.
these are the parts. I mean, that would have been a great transition for one of your pieces. You know, just walking out with the cat, because it's just so real. So it's interesting because I think the piece of college and college life is that people think it's a nonstop party, and a lot of people in high school think, you get drunk all the time, and it's nuts. Like, it sounds like you're pretty sober. Like, is that just your thing? Like, you just don't do that?
Yeah, no, not really. I've kind of just always been like the mom of the group, like of
Uh-huh.
my friend group and everything. And I definitely felt like that FOMO when I got into college, and like everyone around me just naturally just like went to parties and felt comfortable. And then I went to my first, I guess, quote unquote, like college party my freshman year, and I was like, I hate this. This sucks. And
What was it
like,
like for the people who don't know what that would be like?
well, it was the gymnastics team party, so it was no frat party, but it was a party.
Okay.
It was a Halloween party, and I don't know, it was just like loud and crowded, and no one knew each other, but they were still having a good time and acting
Mhm.
like they all knew each other. And I just kind of stuck with my like closest friend who I like knew there, like my only friend that I knew there.
Yeah.
And I don't know, it just like it wasn't for me. Like I can understand why people would like that, and there's nothing wrong with people who like it. But I like my small, like close circle of friends, and I like hanging out with them. And that's just the way that most of us kind of roll, and it just
Yeah.
is that way.
I love it. It's just that there are different options and different ways to go.
Yeah.
I think that you and I have a lot in common. First of all, we look so much alike, and
Yeah.
we're so similar age group.
Yes.
We use a lot of the same, we're like a mirror of each other. Um, Clearly, but that idea of being an observer and finding a way to observe, and then finding a way to be able to articulate that and find a way to do that, which, as a do you call yourself a YouTuber or a YouTube
Yeah.
creator?
I call myself a YouTuber, yeah.
Yeah. But as a YouTuber, it really gives you a very clearly defined role that you're going to observe, and you can observe, and you don't have to participate, and that you still can, be really fulfilled. And
Yeah, definitely.
yeah, I think that's really interesting. Okay. So now I want to know, for those students who, this is the part where I want to know a little bit about how you decide to go to Temple. What other schools were you interested in? Because I think it's really fascinating how people make those decisions. So you're a junior currently. You started at Temple. Where were the three schools that you were interested in, and how did you decide to go to Temple?
Temple was my top option, my number one option, and kind of my only choice. If I wasn't going to get into Temple, I don't know what I was going to do. I applied to four other schools. I applied to Penn State, Moravian, and DeSales, maybe. Honestly, I don't remember them all because I it didn't matter to me, and most of it was just because I wanted to make my mom happy, because she was like, Nicole, you should probably apply to those other ones and the
Right.
Common App or whatever it's called. um but if I'm being quite honest, I really didn't look into schools because I'm a first generation college student, and so I didn't grow up in like a family of like, oh, I'm like a family of alumni or families who like care about like colleges a lot. Like my boyfriend's family, they're totally into like colleges, college sports, and everything else. And like my mom is like, did you know that we live by this college? And I'm like, yeah. And she's like, that's crazy. Like it's just like it isn't something like that my family is really a part of. And so, and my family, they're also immigrants. So
Yeah.
it was like it's just like a barrier. But so college culture is very, very different and like foreign to us. So but yeah, Temple was my number one option. And if I'm being completely honest, the way that I became interested in Temple was because freshman year of high school, I was on the field hockey team, and that was the only year I was on the field hockey team. I was not good, but there was like this star athlete, and she got a scholarship to go to Temple to play field hockey there. And she was amazing. And she was like, yeah, I'm going to go to Temple, and like someone else is probably going to do my homework because I don't really care. I'm just going there to play field hockey. And I
Yeah.
was like, she's so cool. And then I was like, oh, I've never even heard of Temple. And then I like Googled it, and I was like, Philly, I always wanted to like live in Philly, I guess. Like it's like the closest big city near me. And so that's kind of how I decided that I wanted to go to Temple, because it just was the first one to catch my eye.
Yeah.
And that
It's
was it.
interesting. Yeah, I mean, it's like it doesn't have to be a complicated story, but that I didn't know that you're a first gen student.
Mm-hmm.
So that's really cool because I know there's a lot of first generation students, and I work with a lot. I work with them a lot. I think they're
Mm-hmm.
badass because it's like, you know what? It's like you're dealing with so many things that no one else has dealt with, and as wonderful as your parents are, you got to come up with the answers yourself. So that first year when you arrived on campus, tell me about your most uncomfortable experience. And I like the raw. You know, I was trying to look back. I think you started doing your videos in 2018. So you were already, was that your freshman year?
No, that was my sophomore year.
Right. So
That was the beginning of my sophomore year.
your freshman year is kind of a secret.
Yeah.
So yeah, we like there were no cameras.
No.
So right. So if you were to have documented your freshman year, can you take me back to that moment where you were maybe thinking of quitting, crying, distraught, upset?
Yeah.
Yeah. And you can,
Okay.
and if there's five, you can do five. Let's just like get dirt into the dirt.
Definitely. So my freshman year, I I came into school as a psychology major. Well, sociology. Then I switched to psychology. I've been 5 college majors so far. So I'm on my 5th.
Okay.
So I started off and I quickly realized it wasn't what I wanted. I realized that as exciting as like the classes were in high school, I couldn't see myself doing anything in that field in the future. I didn't care. And when I sat in like the lectures, I was like thinking about something completely else. Like I was not thinking about
Mhm.
what I was being taught. And so a lot of it was just me sitting in like the lounge on my like dorm floor, looking up what are the best majors to get the most money. Like that's what I was looking up. And I was like, whatever, like this seems believable. And so I was watching all of these and then I like remembered back to when I was in like elementary school, middle school, high school. I was like, I want to go into the medical field. And then just like that, like snap of a finger, I was like, I'm going to become a physician's assistant. And so I was like, I'm going to switch my major to health professions.
So when was that? Like
And
freshman year? That quickly?
yeah, it was very quick that I
Okay.
decided that I was going to change my major
Major
again. And
two.
so
Okay.
major 3, because I was sociology, then psychology, and then I decided I was
Okay.
going to go to health professions.
Okay.
So
This is all in like freshman year. Okay.
this is all in freshman year. And so I was like, this is definitely like what I'm going to do. I'm going to prove to everyone that I am smarter than what everyone thinks I am. Because at that moment, I just felt like everyone around me was like working so hard and I could see them all like studying and doing their schoolwork. And while I was still working hard, I felt like what I was doing didn't matter.
Mm.
And that's just because of my own like insecurities and my own like internal whatever.
Do you think you're smart? Do you think you're smart or do you think you're dumb? Like,
I think I'm smart.
do you?
I think
Okay.
I'm
Because
smart.
I always thought I
Yeah.
was dumb. You know, I did. It's like only been 3 years that I realized I was smart.
No,
That's
I genuinely, I don't think I give myself like the credit that I feel sometimes just because like, I do well in school and everything, but it was just that in those moments when I was like, why do I not care about any of these classes? And like, I thought that was me. I thought that I was like telling myself like, you're stupid. You need to change your major into something
Mhm.
that's going to prove to everyone, hey, you can do it. And that wasn't it. And then like the other major thing that people probably would have seen if I like had a YouTube channel was that was in like a terrible like roommate kind of situation.
Ooh, let's
I
tell us
know.
about that. That is
Yeah. So
juicy stuff. And
I
give me the
lived,
details.
yeah, I will. I will.
Okay.
This is when I was like a freshman, I always said like, oh, if I had a YouTube channel, like I would give the best like story times and everything. And then I got a YouTube channel and then I was like, I don't know if I should say these things yet, but now I'm in quarantine. Like, what are they going to do?
Right.
But I don't, I lived in a suite with 3 other girls. And so I was like, this is going to be the best time ever. And I was like, I get to live with like my sisters. Like, this is so fun. And I'm an only child. So I was like, this is great. Total like life change. And quickly the one person who I like matched with like on Facebook that we would be like perfect roommates. We were like mirror image, almost like you and I are, but like even more so.
Yes.
And we were just like yin and yang, and like we were just bouncing off each other the way that we did. It was as if we knew each other for like forever, like we were joined at the hip. And then I quickly started to realize that she wasn't really the person that she said that she was, like online per se.
Yeah.
And some of that started to come out. So when
Like
she
what?
was,
Can you give details?
I'm a super clean person. I am so tidy. I am never a mess and everything. I'm like, perfect. Like, we're going to get along like great. Not the case. Or, I don't really know how I feel about, guests coming over a lot. And I wish I was joking when I said, like, I've met so many professional athletes because they were just coming in and out. And I didn't have anything in me to be like, stop bringing over these guys. I didn't sign up for like another roommate.
So they were professional, like legit, like pro athletes coming into your room.
I mean, yeah, now they're all like on like pretty big teams.
Oh,
Yeah.
so they were playing. So they were
They
playing
were
some
playing for
sport.
Temple. They were playing for Temple, like D1 athletes. And
Right. And what was
now
happening in the room? Was it like just
we
chit
didn't
chat
share
and
we didn't share a
nachos?
room together.
Okay.
So we had like, it was like 2 bedrooms and then like a living room kitchen area. And so we didn't share the bedroom. The girl who I shared the bedroom with, love her to death, still my best friend.
Okay.
She shared a room with another girl, but these guys would be like in the living room or like in the kitchen constantly. So I would kind of be like uncomfortable to go out and like do stuff, whatever.
Right.
And then also like just didn't care if her roommate was in the room when it came to other activities. And
So you'd hear
that was like,
noises. You'd hear things.
yeah, definitely.
Right. Is that
And
weird?
it's totally and totally
Like,
weird.
what do you
And
do
like,
when you hear those noises? I mean, do you like?
I've never had to deal with a conflict before. So I just didn't say anything. And so that was the issue. And so
Did you think it was
quickly, like,
gross? Do you think it was
oh,
interesting? Were you like, I've never heard this
absolutely.
before?
I know. I was like, this is awful. I was like, I hate
Okay.
this. I was
Okay.
like, this is the worst. But she, at one time, I like actually did stand up for myself. It was
During
the
it?
first
During
time
the
ever.
noises?
No. It was like the next day. And
And
I
how
just
did
like,
you deal with that for those people who deal? Because this is a common issue. And I know as an
yeah,
RA,
it
you dealt
is.
with this as well. Doesn't happen to everybody, but
Definitely.
are you proud of how you had your conversation or confrontation?
I'm proud of myself that I like confronted her and was like, hey, you need to consider that other people live here. Like, you can't just keep doing this because it affects us too. And she started crying. So like that made me feel pretty shitty. But I what she I'm not proud of myself though that it took me almost until the end of the school year to do that.
Wow. So you like the year, not the semester.
No, the year. It was like March at that point.
So why are you so scared? Because you're so strong. Like I look at you as a very strong woman
Thank you.
who like totally, but I mean, freshman year is hard because the world is,
Yeah.
messed up. But why did it take you so long?
But like, I'm not a confrontational person when it
Right.
comes to that kind of stuff. I'm not confrontational. I don't have a brother or sister, so I've never like fought with anyone growing up. When I
Right.
had conflict in like middle school or something, I'd go to the guidance counselor. I never like stood up for myself. I never had a reason to stand up for myself, like face to face.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't until I became an RA and actually had to like learn those skills, because they literally throw you out there and they're like, no, you need to knock on doors and like, do what you need to do when it comes to being an RA.
Yeah, so that's really fascinating because I don't think a lot of people understand what it is to be an RA, and it's a
Mm-hmm.
resident assistant. So can you walk us through how you go from being a really shy or non-confrontational first generation student who has to listen to what's happening in your room to
Yeah.
then making that decision and getting the job? That's wild.
Yeah. So my RA, my freshman year, was amazing. And so she completely inspired me to want to become an RA because
What was
I
her name?
saw Irene. She was amazing.
So I should give her
So
credit.
yeah, she's great.
Yeah.
So I was so inspired by her. And to be honest, I looked at it from like face value. I just saw like her pretty bulletin board decorations and like the stuff that she would put on our doors and like giving us candy here and there and like inspirational notes and like the group chat being so cute. And like I looked at that and I was like, I want to be that for someone. I want to be that for someone who's coming into college and is was just as nervous as I was. That's what I saw it as, because I didn't see all like the other side of it. I knew that it was there, but I just never had to like deal with that. Because I wasn't really going with her. I should have gone to her with like my roommate troubles, but I didn't, because I didn't even really know that an RA was like there for that to a certain extent. Like I knew
Right.
they were, but I was like, I'm not a snitch. So so she helped me a lot through the process and like the interview process and everything else. And the main thing that they look for in interviews is someone who genuinely is themselves and not is trying to be, because not every single RA is like extroverted or loud. That's like a misconception, because we need all types of RAs, not just like very loud ones. And so I went in there, got the job, super excited, and then a star was born.
That's a big deal. I mean, it really is. It's really cool. What did they pay for? Like, what were the benefits of being an RA?
So I got a free room and board. So I got a free place to live. And then I also got a free meal plan. And then on top of that, a $300 stipend every single semester.
That's amazing. So just to
It's great.
translate that, at a school like Temple, do you even know what room and board cost roughly
Um,
semester or a year?
I think on average, I think 5 to 7,000
For the year or the semester?
the semester.
So it's like 10 grand. So you got like anywhere from 10 to $15,000 essentially paid. Plus you got
Pretty
another,
much.
right. Plus you got another $600. Wow. And then when it comes to money, and again, I don't know what your boundaries are. Maybe I'll push them. Maybe I won't, just like, if you don't like my questions, just don't answer them, pass. I don't know. But when it comes to the money part, I know a lot of people are freaked out about money, especially a
Mhm.
lot of first gen students. Was that something has that been an issue for you? Was that one of the reasons you wanted to be an RA? Tell us about that.
Yeah. Definitely. So coming in, I was lucky enough. So I did work at Chipotle, and Chipotle had a student program where they basically gave you tuition reimbursement as long as you work there.
No
So
way.
they gave you, I think it was $5,200 a
Whoa.
year. Yeah. And so that was very, very helpful. So that's why I stuck around for so long. And
Yeah.
so that helped me out a great ton. On
Did you
top
know
of
about
that,
that? I'm sorry, when you started Chipotle, did you know that you could
no,
get like,
no.
that's nuts.
I
So how did you
started
figure
when
that out?
I was, I think, a junior in high school working at Chipotle. I might have been a sophomore, junior. I started working at Chipotle in high school. And then when it came time for college, a lot of the managers who work there who went to college, they were like, oh, you should definitely do the tuition reimbursement. And so what I had to do essentially is come back once every 3 weeks and work. So I would drive back from Temple once every 3 weekends and work a shift, and that was it. And I was fine. And that worked up until Chipotle realized what students were doing and only clocking in once every 3 weeks. So they changed it. Now I think you have to work like 20 hours a week to get
Oh,
that.
oh, so you were like, you were kind of not gaming the system, but you were
Kind of,
just,
yeah, that was
but
gaming the system.
but they, you know what, they appreciate what you did and the fact that you worked there. And now that we're sharing this I mean, is amazing, but working 20 hours a week, it's not so bad. I mean,
No,
like,
it's not terrible. Like if you are able to, that's great. But when I when I found out about it, it was already at that point where YouTube was starting to become a job for me. And
yeah,
I don't like to call it a job, but it started to become a source of income for me. And I was like, this is pointless of me coming back to work. I can't work for 20 hours if I'm doing this, and I was an RA. I was like,
right.
there's just no way I can do it all. I would rather take that time and put it into YouTube where I can, you know, where it's something that I want to do. Whereas
Yeah.
rolling burritos for an additional year was not something I want to do.
I want to get into your YouTube story, but I also want to know, are there any tricks to rolling a burrito? Like, were you a good burrito roller?
Yeah, I was definitely a good burrito roller. The trick is to kind of push it in almost like as if it were like a pierogi, maybe even like a ravioli, and then
Okay. Like really
kind of
like
like
when you do the fold, the
right. Yes. Yes,
I've seen
definitely.
it.
It's
Okay.
all in the packing, and then it's just kind of like a swift roll. It took me a long time to learn, but that was
What's the
pretty good.
one thing when you're at Chipotle, is there something that the customers would say or do that would just really rub you the wrong way, even though it wasn't obnoxious, it was your own personal problem?
Yeah, yeah. When people at Chipotle ask, like when we give them the meat and then they say just a little bit more, and I'm like, all right, well, extra is like blah 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 dollars more, and they're like, no no no, just give me a little bit extra, and I'm like, I could lose my job over this. Like, please don't do this
Right.
right now.
Do you give them a little extra meat?
I do. I did give them a little extra
That's
meat.
the type of person you
I
are,
did.
right?
Yeah.
It's interesting. Good. That's good to know. I mean, you're kind and generous and all that. That's
Right.
wonderful. So when you went to college, you had this bill for room and board and tuition the first year. You used Chipotle to really help offset a lot of the tuition. Were
Mhm.
you able to pay for all that? Was like the first year, was it manageable? And like the second year?
The first year was manageable. The first year was financial aid hooked me up. It was
Nice.
it was manageable. It wasn't too bad, and that helped out like my mom and I a lot, and I promised my mom I wanted to help her as much as possible. So that is one of the reasons why I did want to become an RA, because I was like, "Ooh, well, this opportunity I could help out my family even more.
Right.
Let's add this on." So yeah.
So second year, you still did Chipotle, I think, and
Mhm.
you were an RA, which worked. So you pretty much had college paid for.
Yeah,
And
pretty
then
much kind of.
yeah, for a good chunk.
Yeah.
So that's awesome. That's so cool. If people have questions about any of these programs or just like paying for college or any of that stuff, are you cool with like, you know,
Yeah,
and
definitely.
I mean, I can share with this, I'll share this, but I mean, if there's something that you do where, just the stuff you're sharing, there are so many students who are so afraid to ask these questions, and they don't get like you could you could dream big, like you can get wherever you want to go. Like I truly believe that. I mean,
Absolutely.
and you're doing it, and like, so let me ask you this. I'm going to get into the YouTube piece because I really want to understand that. This idea of being able to do whatever you want to do, this idea of being able to create whatever life you want to create, is that something that you've always thought you could do, or like was there a time where that switch was flipped?
It was 100% a time where a switch was flipped because like I said, I did not know what I want to do like with my life. Like I
Yeah.
went into college, didn't know what to expect, wasn't like happy with any of the majors I was in, and completely believed I would have to settle for a job that I one day didn't want because that was what I had to do with my degree.
Right.
And so I was stuck for a long, long, long time. And so I just didn't know. All my friends knew me as like, oh, when's Nicole gonna change her major again? And like it was stressful. And so it wasn't until the beginning of my sophomore year where I was like, okay, I got to change something because this is exhausting. This is very, very tiring. And I didn't start YouTube with the intention of making it out to really be anything. I
Yeah.
started because I needed a creative outlet again because I completely stopped doing things that I enjoyed. And I completely thought that I needed to be in a STEM major because in my mind, something was in me that was like, why would you do something creative? What is that going to get you? You belong in STEM where you're going to make money. And so I was like, all right, well, I'm lacking creativity in all my classes and I miss that. And I used to make videos when I was younger. I used to be in art classes. Like I was a very creative person, like all my life.
Yeah.
I was not a person who was very interested in STEM at all. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's amazing. Like we need people in STEM, but it
Right.
wasn't for me.
And
And I try
STEM
to force
stands
that.
for science and
Technology, engineering, and mathematics.
okay. I
Yeah.
only like six. I know there's like the word STEM is thrown around. I think there's
Yeah.
also people don't. So right. And that's been the thing, like STEM, especially a woman, being a
Yeah.
woman in STEM, and like there's a
Right.
lot of emphasis on that. So you were miserable. And when you're
Yes.
miserable, and I was like, when you're miserable, like do you just get quiet? Do you get depressed? Do you get sad? Do you eat? Do you like what do you
I
do when
don't
you're
eat.
miserable?
That's the thing. That's the thing. I don't eat when I'm stressed like that. I just kind of just like lose sight of myself and like
Yeah.
everyone around me completely saw like Nicole is unhappy. Nicole is not doing well. And it was rough because I was so excited to, become an RA and everything, but I hated my major. I hated being at college. I did not like coming back home once every 3 weeks to work at Chipotle. So therefore I didn't like coming home.
Mm.
So there was nowhere where I was happy to be because when I came home, it was just working at Chipotle. Any type of break, it was just working at Chipotle constantly to make enough money. And then when I was at school, I didn't like it because I didn't like my major, but however, I did like being an RA. So it was just this constant state of being upset wherever I was. And so nothing felt like good or comfortable.
Right.
And so I knew I needed to make something different, and I stopped doing everything that I enjoyed doing. Like I, used to paint all the time, and then I just like stopped painting. I used to, make videos like one day, and then I stopped doing all of that together. So yeah.
So were you depressed, or were you just,
Yeah, I would say I don't throw around that word like lightly. And
yeah,
so I never wanted to like self-diagnose and say,
right,
you're depressed, until like a doctor was like, yeah, you're depressed. And I was like, okay, well, maybe then it is kind of real.
right.
So yeah, it was very real. And like, I mean, it's
Did
not
you
like
talk to anybody? Like, do you talk to a therapist? Did you?
I didn't start going to therapy until last semester. It was like August, and
Yeah,
I was just like in an awful place, and I was like, I need to go. And so a lot of like my friends and like my family encouraged me. So yeah,
yeah.
I didn't start going until then. And then
Do you dig it? Do you like it?
I stopped going because, school's not in session anymore. But
And it was part of your school. It was like you
yeah,
went to go to the
it
counseling
was
center.
with Temple. Yeah, I wanted to start off at like the counseling centers at Temple first, just
Yeah,
before I like actually found therapist, because I wanted to see if I actually felt, you know, better at first. Plus, it was like free, and I was like, this was easy to find and everything, and it's like
yeah,
right across the street. And so, I did like it. I did, and it helped me a lot because last semester was like crazy rough on me. Like it was the worst semester of like all my years at college, which is like weird to think about because I was talking about how miserable I was like freshman year and
yeah.
everything. But
Do you,
last
can you share
semester,
a little bit about that?
yeah, so last semester was terrible because I came in already just like not doing so well, and I think I just wasn't doing so well. There was nothing wrong, and that was the thing that made me feel so awful. There was nothing wrong. Everything in my life on paper was perfect.
Mm-hmm.
My YouTube started booming. I knew I could leave Chipotle very, very soon. I was living in this brand new apartment complex on Temple's campuses, and they turned it into kind of like a resident hall,
Right.
and beautiful like apartment, like something I could never afford, like it crazy. And
Yeah.
I was living with two other RAs. So they set it up so that they kind of messed up, and instead of RAs having their own room or their own apartment like most
Mm-hmm.
universities have it, long story short, they messed up, so they had to group RAs together. So I was living with two other RAs, and the one was like my best friend. I was like, this is amazing. The other one, not so much. And so I've thus resulted into months and months and months of meetings with the Department of, residential life, and being like, I don't feel safe living with this person.
Oh,
And
wow.
then being like, you have to deal with it or you can quit. And
Right.
then I quit.
Oh, so that was your living situation that
It
just
was
made
my
it
living
so uncomfortable.
situation. And so, yeah, so going into the semester already not feeling so good, I just had a bad feeling in my stomach that something bad was going to happen. But then at the same time, I just couldn't be happy. And I felt so guilty because I was like, I should be happy. Everything in my life
Yeah.
is so great. And then having a bad roommate experience, it just added on top of it.
Yeah.
And it just made me feel so guilty all the time. So until I got myself out of that situation, ever
Yeah.
since then, it's been amazing.
Yeah.
But yeah,
That's
definitely.
so, and thanks for being so open about that.
Yeah.
And that's the part, if you tell me that you had a miserable beginning of the year, I'm going to want to know why it's so miserable.
No, yeah, that's totally fine.
But like, that's so kind of you, because I know there's so many people who have a life that looks so great on paper, and they're in so much pain deep inside. And, it's interesting because I spent a lot of time just going through your videos and trying to get to know you. And, I wouldn't have known that maybe I didn't watch the right video where you
No,
were
it's
crying and
okay.
miserable. Was
I
there one
never
where you,
said it.
no?
No,
Okay.
well, that was the thing. Like, there were multiple videos throughout the semester where I just said, like, hey, sorry, this video is kind of like low energy. I kind of had to, like, quickly make it before, I have to put it up. And I don't know, things are just kind of rough right now. And like,
Yeah.
whatever. And people
Yeah.
kind of picked up on that. People picked up, like, my audience picked up on that. And they were like, all right, something's going on. And then it wasn't until I posted a video, I think it was in December, and it was called My No Good, Very Bad, Awful Semester, like based off of like that title off of
Yeah.
the one book. And I just sat down and essentially was like very honest and like candid, where I was saying like, you know, things are not that good. Um, and it's, this happened. I didn't like go into great detail about like
Yeah.
what happened.
Yeah.
Because I also, you know, I don't know, I didn't know what I was allowed to say at the time.
Right.
And also like I still went to college with that person. Now I will never see that person again. But yeah, and I was just kind of honest, and I was like, you know, there were days where I wasn't eating.
I'm really sorry that you dealt with that. And, you know, it's, I statistically, almost 60% of college students have admitted feeling hopeless in the previous year.
Yeah,
I mean, like that to
definitely.
me is wow. And like you have this wonderful beaming personality that we get to see, and there was all this stuff that was going on. So tell me, from that, you know, low moment to now, how have you been able to get yourself to a better place?
Yeah, so I was very, very lucky. I was able to find an apartment because I was like, well, I have nowhere to live. But I quickly was able to find it was my boyfriend's friends, some girlfriends, they were all going abroad, and they had an apartment to sublet, and it was a 5-girl apartment and only
Yeah.
3 of us lived there, and it was amazing. And it was
Yeah.
such a good experience being able to finally feel comfortable where I live, finally not being afraid to like leave the room, finally being able to cook and like not feel scared.
How
And
did you, so you found these through your boyfriend?
yeah, they were all of the girls, like they were my boyfriend's friends, and
Yeah.
it was 5 girls. 4 of them were going abroad, 1 was staying, and then I brought along my freshman year roommate, who
Yeah.
was like, because she was in Temple, Rome last semester, and
Okay.
she needed a place to live too. And I was like, I found an apartment. It's going to be a huge house, and there's only going to be 3 of us, and rent is cheap. It's a great
Yeah.
place. Let's go. And so it all worked out amazingly. I'm so sad that it was cut short, but it was
Yeah.
like, it was an amazing like living situation, other than like sophomore year where I lived completely alone because I was an RA. But it was amazing. Like it was just such a good time. And so it was so cool to be able to like surround myself with like 2 girls who were the best and
Yeah.
made me feel comfortable, especially the one girl whose apartment it was, and she just like welcomed us into her place. Obviously we were like paying rent and stuff, but she just like
Right.
welcomed us. That was amazing. I've been able to focus more on YouTube and my school, and like it just like was finally a place of like calmness. And I kept like literally begging the universe last semester. I say this all the time, but I was just begging for stability because it felt
Yeah.
like every few days it was like a ginormous new obstacle, not like a small obstacle to overcome, but it felt like a huge obstacle I had to overcome. And then finally it felt like there was just some peace, like when
Yeah.
this semester started.
Did you think of quitting at any point?
Like school in general.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Oh my God. Yeah. December or November of like last semester, I sat down with my one, like the good roommate, and I sat down with her and I was like, I think I'm going to take a gap semester. I think I'm just not going to come back next semester. And I think I'm just going to do summer school and then fall semester and then spring and then graduate. I don't think I'm going to come back. I think I need to go home. I can't keep doing this. This is so terrible for me. I need to go home. And we were so sad. Like all of us, like every single time I hung out with my friends for like after I like made that mental decision, I
Yeah.
was like, this is the last time I'm going to do this for a while, because like I am not going to experience this next semester. And I really thought that's what I was going to do. But then it took some like, once I found out like, okay, I have a living situation, that's a good sign. And then I like was able to talk to, you know, my family more, and then like my friends, and that really helped me and like convinced me to stay. But yeah, and when I say like I didn't know if I was going to quit forever,
Right.
but absolutely I thought about it. I still sometimes think about it. You know what I mean? Like it's like
Yeah.
if I didn't like I have job opportunities now that are like coming my way,
Yeah.
which would kind of stop me from continuing school, for now at least. And it's still like a tough decision. Well, everything is kind of put on hold right now with everything going on, but it's
Yeah.
still like a decision. Like what do I want right now? Do I want to get a job right now that I could get, you know, without even finishing my degree, or like what's up?
Yeah, it's interesting. Well, you've really put yourself in a position where you have options. You know,
Hmm.
one of the things I was getting at is I think a lot of people think about quitting I think everybody, I'd say almost every college student I've talked to has thought about either transferring or quitting.
Definitely.
It's like, but it's the friends around you who help you, and it's those people who help you to find the hope and know that there's still something there. But so you have created something so exciting for yourself, and you've done it by yourself, right? Like, you don't come from a family of television producers,
No.
right? You don't
No.
have like a stable of YouTubers who you hang out with, right?
No.
So
Yeah.
you decided in 2018, what month was it?
September.
So September, I was watching your first video. I always like to watch, I love to do is watch the first video, and then I like to watch the last video. I think that's the video where you do the voiceover when
Yes.
you're like, oh, that was funny.
Thank
That's
you.
great. I love it. Like, to have your first video like really hit like that and to be funny, like, that was good.
Thank you.
Yeah, it stands up over time. So tell me, this is for all those people who are out there who are like, oh, just get to the YouTube part. So
Hmm.
it's September, and this is now, what is this? This is March of 2020. So we're talking, this is a year. Let's see, how do we do the math?
A year and like a half.
So in a year and a half, you went from zero, right? You went
Hmm.
from 0 subscribers. I was gonna say subs. That's why it sounded so weird. Do you go back? Do you say subs?
I say subs.
Yeah. Oh, all right. Let's go subs. So you went from 0 subs to 150,000. Let's just say, we'll round up. So tell me how you started this, and what was the plan in the beginning, and I'll have some questions along the way.
Sure. So I did YouTube. I don't remember like my timeline of like my childhood. Everything just kind of like blends together. So I'm like, was that 6th grade or was that 11th grade? So I started at some point in middle school, or maybe even the end of elementary school. I started making like videos on a webcam that was just like in my house. And obviously I was just making them with like my stuffed animals and whatever. And I was like, this is brilliant. So I started putting them on the internet. And then I got embarrassed and I deleted them. So then at some point, like in middle school again, I was like, I want to make skits. I want to make like funny videos just like by myself. And I would just like come up with these ideas and then put them out. And then I just wanted like my very close circle of friends to just like laugh at them. And I did that. And then I think I had like maybe like 250 subscribers. And then people like at school, more people were finding them, and I was so embarrassed and like mortified. And so I quickly just like deleted them again. I was like, I'm never doing this again. This is so embarrassing. No one even said like anything like that mean to me. I was just like, I'm never doing this again. And then my freshman year of high school, like right before school started in the summer, I made 2 videos, like just like on my webcam, just like lightly edited. It was like 10 things not to say to people with food allergies, and like 10 types of selfies. And then I put it up, and then I was dating this guy at the time. It was for 2 weeks, and I barely knew the guy, but that's like what, high school relationships are. And so he was on the football team, and then all of his like football friends came into like our last period, and they were like, we just had our computer ed class or whatever, and they were like, nice videos. And I was like, oh my god. And then they all were just like making fun of me for them. And I was like, okay, quickly, I have to delete them all. So I deleted them all again. And I was like, why? What was I thinking? Like, what was I thinking? Um, and so I always miss that. I miss that so much. And I grew up watching YouTubers. I don't have Netflix. I don't have Hulu. I just don't watch television. I watch YouTubers constantly. And I felt like I was just like studying them my whole life, because
Mhm.
it's just so fascinating to me to be able to make videos yourself, be in charge of them entirely, and make them about whatever you want.
Are there a
And
couple who are your heroes or mentors or people who you really, have been watching over the years?
yeah, the first person when I was like younger, she's like an OG YouTuber. Her name is Jen McAllister. And so she went by Gen X Pen, but when I was like in middle school, that was like my idol. And so she's amazing. Claudia Salewski, she's like a huge inspiration to me. And then even like as of like more recent YouTubers like Emma Chamberlain,
Mhm.
she's like similar age to me. And so it was, end of freshman year, well, even in freshman year, I met this girl named Hannah, and her name's Hannah Mowdy. And so we like met up, we had like dinner the one day. She's like, you know what I used to do when I was little? I used to make YouTube videos. And I was like, me too. And then we were talking about like what we made our videos about, and they were like the same thing. she's
Mhm.
like, I want to start again. I was like, you have to. And then she's like, you should start too. And I was like, I don't know about that. And then she started it, and it took her like, not that she wasn't successful, but like it took her like a little while to get like the ball really rolling.
Yeah.
We started our like sophomore year of high school, and she had like a video go like, it got like 200,000 views, and I was
Wow.
like, whoa, that's huge.
Yeah.
And we met up for like coffee, and she's like, Nicole, you have to do this. Like, this is so much fun. Literally what we were dreaming of as like kids, about it being so fun and people enjoying our content. It's real. Like, you can do it too. If I can do it,
Yeah.
you can do it. And so I was like, okay. She's like, you're going home and you're filming one. So I went home, filmed one, hated it, deleted it. Filmed another one the next day, hated it, deleted it. I just kept trying until one day I was like, whatever, this is the one, I'm gonna upload it. I don't care. And it's just because people were asking for my skincare routine. And I was like, fine, I'll give it to you all. So I made it, and I put it out, and I was like, that was so fun. I was like, that was the most fun I had. I think it was
Right.
like another Friday night. I wasn't like going out with friends or anything. And I was like an RA, and I'm like sitting there, and I'm like having the time of my life. I was like, oh yeah, I can see myself like continue to do this. And so, yeah,
So you put
that's
that up. So you did your first one,
mhm.
and you put it up there, and you had 0 subscribers. And how did people get to see it?
I posted it on like all my social media, and I was like, hey guys, I finally made a YouTube channel. So if you want to watch it, you can. And I
Now,
was
how did you get over, like, because in the past you have like a series, you have a history of being a deleter.
Yeah, I
Okay.
am. I
Right.
almost deleted that first video. I almost
Right.
deleted like all my videos. The first like few months of me making videos, after every single video went up, I was like, I'm gonna delete it. I'm gonna delete it. This is so stupid, because I just had this like sinking feeling in my stomach every single time, like butterflies. I was like, what are you doing? You're
Yeah.
embarrassing yourself. Like, what are you doing? And so, but I wasn't getting like hate comments. I wasn't getting like, nobody was hating on me. It was my close friends who were watching it, and they liked it, I think. So
Yeah. How do you so for those people who are out there who are deleters, because I know there are a lot of deleters out there.
mhm.
I think you've really hit on a really common theme. So how do you go from being a deleter to allowing the world to love you or not love you and just putting it out there?
Yeah, I think it took me actually liking the content that I was making. I think when I stopped caring if people liked it or not, because I realized how much fun I was having doing just that,
Yeah.
that's when I was like, whoa. And then also like Casey Neistat, who's a very big YouTuber, he
Yeah.
mentioned in one of his videos that when he was, just started living in New York, and he was working as like a busboy, and he was cleaning dishes, and he hated it so much, but he always talks about how you need to do something that you hate to realize what you sorry you
Yeah.
need to do something that you hate to
Yeah.
realize to what you actually want to do is something that you love.
Yeah.
um and he was talking about that a lot, and so that really really resonated with me, because I was sitting in these lectures of my health professions classes, like sitting in epidemiology 101, and all I could think about was what YouTube video I was going to film when I got home. And I
Yeah.
was like, all right, I think I belong, first of all, not in this major, I belong in a media major. Second of all, I think this is something that it makes me genuinely happy, because I'm so excited to do it all the time, and I can't stop talking about it.
Right.
So,
So you found your joy,
mhm,
and finding your joy and being able to find that outlet allowed you to give the world permission to like you or not like you, because it no longer mattered what
right,
the world thought, because you had found your joy. And
exactly.
yeah, and it comes through, and I think that's really beautiful. And I love watching your stuff. So you started with a couple, so you put that out there through your social media. You started to put some stuff out there, and then how do you go from 0 to reaching so many people? Will you walk us through that?
Yeah, so I was watching like my friend Hannah, and she was growing at the time. Like she,
She's still doing it?
oh yeah, she has
So we
like
know
over
Hannah.
yeah, Hannah Mowdy. She has over like 360,000 subscribers now. She's
I should
great.
know Hannah. Sorry, Hannah. Like
No,
you're
it's okay. She's
okay.
great.
Okay.
But I was watching her grow, and I always compared myself to her. And I was like, why am I not growing like that? Like what's going on? But also forgetting like she did it for literally, almost a year longer than I was doing it. Um and I just kept making content that I liked, but sometimes I made content I didn't like when I was like stuck in my head and I was like, I think this will get views. And it kind of consumed me for a while until I kind of realized that does not matter at all because you're doing this because it makes you happy. It wasn't until August of last year, maybe even July. It was like July of 2019, I think. I was babysitting. I was at Chipotle and I was babysitting that summer. And I was babysitting and I hit my first 1,000. And I was like, whoa. I was like, that's massive. And like that to me, like that was amazing. And my entire goal for the entire year, I like made myself like a list of things that I want to do by the end of 2019, on January 1st, like a bucket list or New Year's resolutions, whatever.
Right.
And one of them was to hit 10,000 subscribers. And I was like, I don't know how I'm going to do that because on January 1st, 2019, I had 150. And I was like,
Okay.
I don't know how I'm going to get to 10,000, but that would be really cool if I did. And so I hit 1,000 over the summer and I was like, this is really cool. And it's awesome. It's because I posted a video and it was called like, what's in my backpack? But it was kind of satirical because like around school time, everyone wants to see what's in everyone's backpacks. But I don't really care that much what's in people's backpacks. So I kind of wanted to make it funny. And I think that's when people started grasping onto my content. And then I started school and things were going great. I was making more videos and then it started to go to like 2,000, then 3,000, then 4,000.
But people
And
were
then,
just finding them through search. Were you like doing SEO? Were you being intentional?
I did more research on how to like, you know, SEO and
What was
everything.
like what were some of those practical tips or those things?
Yeah. So titling my videos a little bit better. Like instead of just titling it, I don't know, like making it so that they're easy to find, but also having an original title, that helped me a ton.
Mm-hmm.
Also making just downright original content, it draws people to it because there's 100 different what's in my backpacks. But it also, if you make the title original enough, or if you make the thumbnail a little bit different, or
So what
if
was your
people,
title for your backpack one that rocked?
I don't even know if that one was very original. I think it was just like what's in my college backpack. I think that's what that one was. But
Yeah.
the video that like really kind of kick started things for me was a video I made, I think in October or November, called Questions. I can't even get it right. It's my own video. Questions. A guy answers questions that girls are too afraid to ask.
I saw
And
that. That was a great video.
thank you. And that's my most viewed video. And so I think that video did well because that title, it was like down to the point and there wasn't really any other videos with that same title, although like that trend was kind of around like on
Yeah.
TikTok and stuff like that. And so it's not an original idea by me, but it was just a more so original content piece on YouTube.
Yeah.
And that's when things really got the ball rolling because
Yeah.
my goal was 10,000 for the year. I hit 10,000 in September and I was like,
Wow. Look
whoa.
at you. You don't now I noticed like even in that, do you ask people to subscribe?
At the end of the video, I just say like, if you want to subscribe, you can subscribe. You can follow me on my other social media, but I don't like to say it in the beginning of the video. Like some people say like subscribe in the beginning of the video. I'm like, well, I didn't even see the video yet. Like, you know what I mean?
Right.
Like, why should I subscribe if the video didn't even happen? So
Right.
I wouldn't say I ask for it, but I say if people want to, they can.
You feel like they're going to do it anyway if they like you. Like people know YouTube well enough to be like,
Yeah.
yeah, I dig this stuff, I'm going to hit subscribe and like
Right.
you don't have to
Yeah.
tell people.
Yeah.
Right. I
If
think it's an
people like,
interesting thing.
yeah, in other videos, like if people like say subscribe, it kind of goes right over my head. Like if I like you, I'm going to subscribe
Because it's
anyway.
weird for me when I see that and they say subscribe, I usually hit the pause button. I hit subscribe, and then when they say like, I also hit the pause button and I will like. Sometimes I'll like
Really?
twice, which removes the like, which really because I get so overexcited about liking, um, which is kind of the opposite. But yeah, so that really blew things up. And then you went from 1,000 to 10,000 using the words and titles. And then tell me how it then grows. Like, how do you go from 10,000 to 100,000? Are you talking to Hannah? Are you talking to other people? Like, what's your secret sauce?
Yeah, so Hannah at this point she wasn't going to Temple anymore. She transferred out of Temple. So, not that we're not close. She just texted me, but we just like we weren't in touch as much because we didn't go to the same school anymore. But I was definitely just it just after that video happened, it completely got the ball rolling, and that's when everything kind of went up. I think by the end of the year, like by New Year, it was at like maybe like 80, 90,000.
Wow.
And I was like, okay, like this is getting kind of real. And then after New Year's, I made a video reviewing Emma Chamberlain's coffee. And that video, it also kind of got big. So yeah,
Like, who would
after
think
that
that
video,
that's the one that, like,
right,
you know?
right. And after that video, that's when it's kind of gotten to the point where it is now today. So
Yeah.
yeah.
So that's pretty cool. I mean, you're still doing it, and what's interesting is that, I mean, you're not just still doing it, you're kicking ass doing it. What's interesting is there's so many people who create, you know, really quality content, but you know, they're stuck on 1,000 subscribers or
Mhm.
1,500, and you know, people say it's a long journey, but what do you say to them, and you know, how can they continue to pursue what they're doing if they're thinking, they're looking at you and they're being like, well, Nicole, like, you know, she got all these people so fast and I'm still like banging my head.
Yeah, I think when people can tell when you're not genuine. Like if you watch a YouTube video, you can automatically tell if that person, number one, cares about the content that they're making, if they even like making it, and if that the person that they're showing online is even them. And people
Mhm.
don't want to watch people who aren't themselves, because there are so many other people on the internet who are just being them, and that's just way more fun to watch. um so I think making content that you love to make is so much better than making content that you feel like you have to make. Like I regret going back and making all those videos that I felt like, oh, this will get me views, because I probably didn't enjoy making it as much. The editing process was probably like tedious for me. Whereas when I make a video where I'm so excited to make it, I'm so excited to edit it, it's just such a fun process. It's not working to me. And I think that it's very easy to give up when you're making stuff that you don't even really believe in, like stuff that
Yeah,
you don't even really are proud of. I think if you're only making content that you're proud of making it and you're showing your genuine personality, I think that's the best. And I think also making like creative content that you don't necessarily see someone else making. Not saying that all of my videos are never before seen, but
right.
you got to make it your own completely. And people will come in. If you're good, people will come and watch
Yeah.
eventually. It takes time sometimes, because it took time for me. Like the first 1,000, it felt like it took forever. It took almost a year. Um
Wow.
and I never expected, like when I was like, oh, 1,000 in 1 year, like that's amazing. I no way did I see 6 months later that this would happen. Like I didn't see
Yeah.
that at all happening.
Yeah. Well, it's really a reflection of you channeling your joy and love for what you do, and you know, that it clearly comes through, and you know, there's something intangible about that. But I think the authenticity and but the vulnerability, I mean, it's really scary because when you're so vulnerable, people say horrible things to you.
Yeah.
And I know that, you know, from your other video, I mean, I know you're really fun doing your what's it called, the whispering. I know that
ASMR.
yeah, like, it's like the most ridiculous thing ever.
Yes.
Um, but talking about how people hate, you know, your haters. But does that get to you? You know, how do you process the hate? Because you seem like a really sensitive person. You know,
Yeah, I
you
am
really are.
sensitive. I am. Yeah, at first when they first started coming in, it depends on the comment, honestly, though, because like some comments, like the ones that I was reading in the video, they make me laugh now. Like all of them make me laugh. There are a few comments that kind of get to me. This morning I was like upset.
Oh,
I
tell
made
us.
I made a joke in the beginning of like my last video, and someone like quoted it and said, "This is why your channel is dying, honey. Your videos suck." And I kind of sat there for a second and I was like, is my channel dying? And I like sent a screenshot to my boyfriend, and he was like, "You know that's not true. You know that isn't the case. Like
Right.
why do you even like take that stuff to heart when you know that's not true?" And I'm like, well, because, it's that one comment, or someone commented on that me ASMR of me reading hate comments, and someone commented and said, as as a viewer of yours, I am so unentertained. Normally you're so much more funnier. I'm so disappointed.
Yeah, it's just so
It's
you got a
just like,
hate comment on a hate.
right,
I,
right.
the irony, you could do the hate comments from the hate comment
I
video.
know, I should if I like get enough.
Yeah, you could. It would be fun is to do it in to do it instead of in ASMR, right?
Yeah.
Instead of doing ASMR, maybe you could do it in like a different voice.
Yeah.
So then the other people who like ASMR will hate your
Yes.
new voice. And then you
Yes.
can do the hate
More
comments
hate comments.
on the double hate one,
Right.
which will create the hate series.
Yes.
Yeah. But I mean, that's the irony. It's like when you get to a certain point, if you don't get haters, you're not being successful,
That's
because
so true.
it's like that's the part that sucks so bad, is that, you know, the more you put out stuff that you love and the more you serve and offer, the more hurt you're going to get, because there's going to be half the world that doesn't love what you're doing, and they're going to find you, and they're going to find
Definitely.
a reason to attack you.
Definitely.
Yeah. So I love rejection. I mean, I don't love rejection. Like, I'm an expert on rejection. I get rejected every day. It's like nonstop. That's like my thing. So I'm always really interested when sensitive people offer and how they're able to respond, because I know that the people who you're reaching, so many of them hate rejection and they're afraid of rejection, and you're,
Hmm.
you know, you're an inspiration, but you're still somebody who feels it. I know I've kept you longer than we originally said, and I hope you're cool with this.
That's okay.
I
We're
just have like a
cool.
few more questions. All right, it's
No,
cool.
it's totally cool.
Because there are so many people who want to be you and want to understand you, and I love being able to unwrap some of that. When it comes to being a YouTuber, and I know you don't do it to get rich, but people are always curious to know, like, you know, how do you make money, and you know, how long does it take? And can you share as much as you're comfortable sharing about the money part of being a YouTuber with 150,000 subscribers at the moment?
Yeah. So it takes you to get 1,000 subscribers, and I think it's 4,000 or 40,000 hours of watch time. That's a very big number difference, but
Yeah,
it's one of those.
I think it's 4.
Okay. So 4,000 hours of watch time, meaning that people have to watch your videos for 4,000 hours total for you
Right.
to finally get monetized on your videos. So I wasn't monetized until August of last year. Um, and that was like such an exciting moment for me. And it essentially, after that, ads get placed on your videos. So you can pop in the ads wherever you so wish if your video is over 10 minutes long. If it's under 10 minutes, then they just automatically get placed into there. And that's essentially Google pays you. That's called Google AdSense. So that's how I started making money. And at first it was like nothing. Like, it was absolutely nothing. I was
Like,
making
so, like, give
more.
us an example of how nothing is nothing.
I think my first paycheck, it might have been $30. And to me, like, that was nothing because I was getting more working one shift at Chipotle every
Right.
3 weeks. And so I was like, cool, $30 is like great. I can get 3 bowls of pho like whenever I want. But you know, this is not really groceries as much. So, but I was like, cool. Like, I get to make these fun videos. I wasn't really expecting it to come in the first place. So I was like, that's cool. That's fun. Um, and so after that, you know, I was making more videos, and you get more views and more subscribers and everything. And it's essentially, it's subscribers. It doesn't make you more money. It's essentially the views on the video that make you the money.
Right.
But if a video gets demonetized, like, sometimes I'll use music that is copyrighted. And sometimes I just don't care because, like, I'm like, well, this song is perfect for the video. Like, I don't really care if I get demonetized. And, but, or if like the content is inappropriate, then you can get demonetized. So that can
Right.
affect you. And I didn't really have money. Like, money started to like come in and everything, to where I was like, okay, like, this is super cool. Like, I can pay for groceries now, and like I can, you know, save up for
Right.
whatever. Like, it was cool. It wasn't until that video that got now almost like 2 million views, where it's the guys answering questions
Yeah.
video. That wasn't until I got my first big paycheck, to which when I was like, okay, I can now pay for school on my own.
So a
And
big
that was really
paycheck. And again, like, I'm just going to ask, because I know when you say big paycheck, everybody's thinking, okay, like, what's a big paycheck? Are you
cool.
sure that is? And if you don't want to, then
For
that's cool
me,
too.
a big paycheck, it was enough to pay for rent for 2 years for me.
For rent for 2 years. So how much is rent a month for you? I'm just kidding.
Um,
You don't have to ask. I'm so annoying.
no, it's okay. Yeah, so it got to, that's like a big paycheck.
A
That
rent for 2 years. Okay.
Mhm.
So we can probably figure out the math. That's living with someone or living alone?
um what I'm doing, living with someone.
So that's living with someone. So it's sharing the rent for 2 years. So
Mm-hmm.
that's great. Right. That's great. And
Yeah.
do you think I'm obnoxious? Like, am
No,
I
it's okay.
okay? Because what I try to do is I ask the question that somebody who's watching will want to know,
Right.
because
Yeah.
like the next part is like to go, but I won't go anymore. But that's awesome. That's so exciting. And now you're at a place where you have a source of revenue
Mm-hmm.
that can help you to provide some security,
Mm-hmm.
and also enable you to do this as something that can be, a career, or part of a career, or like an essential part. Do you have you started to look for advertisers and marketers, and like, do people come to you, or how does that part work? Because you're kind of, I feel like you're at that place.
Yeah, so I don't really like when it comes to the ads on my videos, I don't decide like what ads get placed on my videos and stuff. But I've had like sponsorships since then. I think like I've done now my fourth sponsorship with a brand, and that's also like a main source of income. I would
Yeah,
say now that sponsorships are my main source of income over YouTube AdSense. Because
do they?
unless you're having a video hit like 2 million views all the time, income can be, it's nice, but it's not necessarily livable if you're just like being steady on YouTube, kind of like at the neutral.
Right.
And so now sponsorships and brands, I would say that's where like my main source of money now is.
Do you go to them, or do they come to you?
With my experience so far, it's just been them coming to me. I've reached out to like a brand when I had like 100 subscribers, and I was like, I would love to,
When you
sponsor
were at
your
100,
product.
not 100,000, 100.
100, and they were
Right.
like, yeah, we're not interested at this time. I was like, okay. And so,
But I love
but
that you, like, that's what's so awesome about you. It's like you believe that you're worthy of, and I
yeah,
think
why
that
not?
that's right. It's like that's the thing.
You
It's like,
gotta.
yeah, if you're worthy, if you don't believe you're worthy of, then you're not going to ask. And it's like,
No.
you got to ask.
The answer is always going to be no if you don't ask. So you might as well just like try. And so, yeah, I've been lucky in my experience. I've just had to, they've come to me like with the sponsorships and
Yeah.
everything. And so I'm picky with like who I work with. Like I get emails every day asking for me to work with like different brands and stuff like that. But if I don't believe in the product, or if they're lowballing me and like I give them my rate and they say no, then I'm like,
Right.
all right, then you're telling me I'm not worth that, and I'm not interested.
Right. And you have a rate, like the idea that you have a rate. And
Yeah.
how do you come up with a rate?
So I didn't know what my rate was supposed to be for a while. There's so many like videos on YouTube, and there's so many like formulas that you can do to figure out your rate. And so I'm terrible at math. That's why I left STEM. And so I was doing all these like formulas and stuff, and I was like, I think this is the number. And I was like, this seems really high. And then I like talked to Hannah, and she was like, no, that's right. And I was like, I don't know. And then the first brand like that ever came to me, um it was like a big brand, and I was like, oh my god, yeah, I would love to work with you. And I gave them my number, and they're like, yeah, no, absolutely not. I was like, oh. And that was like it. And I was like, okay, well, I don't know what to do now I'm afraid to give my rate to
They
anyone
said
else.
your number was too high, not too low. It was
They
like,
said it was too high. Yeah.
really?
And
Okay.
so, and it wasn't, I once I figured out the math, it wasn't too
Right.
low. But they're also like picky. But and then in December I was approached by an agency, like media agency,
Right.
to represent me, for me to have managers. And it was full screen, and so I'm very familiar with like full screen. I've known about them for years, and like some of my favorite creators like Cody Ko, Noel Miller, they're signed with full screen. And I was like, they want to work with me? Like I was shocked. And so they gave me the contract, and I like just couldn't believe like that it was happening. I sat on it for a month because I was like, this is a huge decision, like whether I want to be like independent or be signed with someone.
Right.
It's a very big decision. However, I did know that by like the end of this year, one of my goals for like 2020 was like get a manager to help me out with some of this stuff, because I don't go to school for this. I don't know what I'm doing. I could be making terrible deals, and I have made terrible deals since then, without a manager. And so it took me a full month, and I signed with managers. And like one of the first questions I had for them was like, what is my rate? Like,
Yeah.
can you please help me with what my rate is? And they're amazing. I'm so happy that I work with full screen. Like
Oh,
they
that's
are
so great.
truly great.
So they came to you,
Hmm.
and how many subscribers did you have at that point?
I think I had like 70 or 80,000 at the time.
Yeah.
Something like that.
That's yeah. That's like that's so cool. That's so exciting. I
It
mean,
was such an exciting moment for me. Yeah.
oh, you jumping up and down and like, what does your mom think of this?
Oh, she's so happy about it now. But at first she was so like she was like, "Cool, you're making videos again. Like you should make videos again. Like this you're really good at it. You should make videos again." And I was like, "Okay, like maybe." And so she would watch all my videos and she's like, "That's funny. Like this is cute, whatever." And it didn't like really she didn't understand what subscribers really were. Like she was
Right.
just like, I don't get it. And I was like, think of it as like a magazine subscription. It comes to
Hmm.
your house every time that they make one, and you can cancel at any time, and that you could just say, I don't like this magazine anymore, don't let it come to me anymore.
Right.
And I said, that's what subscribers is, but for the internet. And so that's when she was like, oh, okay. And so once I told her, like when things were really going up, I was in the car with her. It was over Thanksgiving break, and I just hit 20,000 subscribers. And I was like freaking out, and I like caught her on camera and stuff. And my mom was like, wow, that's a really big deal. And I was like, yeah. And then I came home for winter break, and that's when everything was happening. Like when I hit like 100,000 subscribers and everything. And she just like couldn't
Yeah.
believe it. And so my entire
Wow.
family like just like catches up like with my videos, and they're like very, very supportive of it all. And like
Yeah.
she was nervous about me getting managers. Definitely. She was like, why two? Like, what's going on? How much are they taking from you? Like, what's going, like, just very, very cautious. And like, you need to reread the contract over and over again. Like, you need to have someone else. And
Right.
genuinely, I got myself like into a very good position and stuff. But yeah.
Yeah. That's that whole piece. There's it's just such a great story, and you really seem to be enjoying it. What's so interesting is while there was all this wonderful stuff happening and all these people were loving you, you were dealing with that internal turmoil
Mm-hmm.
that was on the, like you have this like you get
Yeah.
this contract, people want you, they're excited, but then you're
Mm-hmm.
going home to an uncomfortable situation and you're trying to, it was out of alignment, and now finally, it seems like everything's there, right? Is that
Yeah.
right, Nicole?
I'm like, I forget, someone commented on my video once, and it was like when I was talking about like what it's actually like to hit 1 million views, and I was talking about like the craziness behind it. Like as grateful as I am, there's a lot of craziness that happens along with it, some positive, some negative. And
Yeah.
um someone commented it's called like something back to neutrality. It's like things are, positive, like very, very high, things are very,
Right.
very low, and then you finally reach a neutrality, and it's not good or bad, it just is.
Yeah.
And that's like what I've been at for like the last like few months. But all I kept asking the world for was last semester was just stability.
Yeah.
And so I'm getting that, and so I'm just trying to embrace that like total neutral. Like things aren't like crazy high for me right now in terms of subscribers. Things aren't bad for me currently, like as things are going on in the world.
Yeah.
Like it's just kind of like a chaotic neutral kind of going on.
It's nice. There's an expression called equanimity, and
Mm-hmm.
equanimity is the origins of it. I can't speak to, but it's more of philosophy and use it with meditation. And I'm not doing it justice because it's using mindfulness a lot as well. But the
Mm-hmm.
idea that there's these two sides where things are extremely great and things are extremely difficult,
Mm-hmm.
and then in the middle there's this equanimity and kind of keeping it in this place where you can just really just vibe with the energy of the universe and just be present. And it's nice. I'm glad that I can catch you at a time where you can do that and feel that. I'm going to wrap things up in just a moment, because again, you've been so generous. Like this is such a gift. It's such a gift. It's not only a gift to the people who are watching, but a gift to me, that you can share all this, because you're a really really interesting, deep, emotional, and talented person.
Thank you.
um, when it comes to the next 5 minutes, 5 minutes from now, when we are done and we disconnect, what are you going to be doing in the next 5 minutes?
I don't know, maybe get dinner.
Dinner? Hungry?
Probably like share the Facebook like link with my family, be like, look at this. And then contemplating whether I should play a video game for the night or if I should edit Sunday's video.
Interesting. Okay, so that will be happening. What game would you play if you played a game?
Animal Crossing. I just got it. It's amazing.
You love
So
Animal
good.
Crossing. Okay, cool. Oh, you really love it. That's so wonderful. And then let's jump ahead. So first was 5 minutes. Now tell me 5 years from now.
Ugh. Oh God. I don't I don't know. And like that's I think I think what I learned about myself through this all is that I have to do everything what's the word? Not non-traditional, but unconventionally.
Yeah.
And I find that everything in my life is very unconventional, but it's so much more fun that way. It's so
Yeah.
much more cooler. I don't want to see myself settling, period.
Yeah.
Um, I know I'd like to move out of my hometown. It just isn't really for me. Um, I don't know. I kind of am looking at New York. I have some family and friends there, and so
Yeah.
it's just always been I found a love for it. I dreaded going there when I was younger to like go visit like my family just cuz I was like I don't know. I was like what's exciting here? But I just realized it's cuz my grandma lives in like an old person neighborhood. And so I think that that's kind of like what made set the tone for me for New York for so many years.
Yeah.
Um but things kind of I went to a concert on New Year's Eve in New York, which sounds so wild, but it was amazing and like it kind of changed like my entire perspective on New
What
York.
concert?
The Strokes concert.
Yeah. And what was
And
so awesome about it?
I've the Strokes are my favorite band in the entire world. I cannot shut up about them, but the Strokes are just my favorite band in the world, and they have not put out new music in 7 years. They haven't had a show in New York in like probably 7 or 8 years, um, and it was just like the best way to bring in the new year. And I was like, ugh, after such an awful semester, like this is what I need and deserve. And so it's also
Yeah.
my boyfriend's favorite band, so we finally got to go see them. So that kind of like set the tone for like
Yeah.
New York and Brooklyn specifically. So maybe moving to New York potentially. Um,
Professionally, do you have any thought? Yeah.
did you say professionally?
Yeah.
Um, I don't know. I'd love to do this. I'd love to be able to make YouTube videos for a living and like continue on with that, like move forward, not just make videos, but somehow make something out of it. But I don't want to live in the mindset of doing the same thing forever. So
Yeah.
I'm open. I'm open to other ideas, whether that's like helping someone else with their YouTube videos or um, I just know that I belong in this world of like online content and media.
Yeah.
So I can see myself somewhere in that realm, but also at the same time, I love working for myself. I love working like this. This is amazing. I thrive off of it. Both my parents work for themselves, they're self-employed. And so I grew up watching them love it. Like my mom's a cleaning lady, but she still loves being self-employed. She's like, this is the
Yeah.
best job ever because I get to work for myself. Um,
It's the best.
yeah, and so that's why I just want to be able to still work for myself, but to be determined. And I'm not opposed to taking on like new opportunities or something. So I'm not like on a set path. I've never been the type of
Yeah.
person to be like, these are going to be my future kids' names. Like, I don't know.
Right. Well, you know what? You seem to be really in touch with asking the universe. So,
Mm,
as you set your intention on something you want, you certainly seem to have the courage and confidence to just trust that that next thing will happen and that you'll be okay, which I think is the hardest thing, to know you'll be okay. But it
yeah.
seems like you're in a place where you know you'll be okay. Is that how it feels?
I think so now. Yeah, I think so. For a long time, I didn't think that I was going to be okay, but I think I think the world was just kind of telling me, well, you're not going to be okay because you're not on the right path. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're not setting yourself up for you to be okay. You're asking for the world for you to be okay, but what are you doing? Because I
Right.
wasn't doing things that were making me happy. I wasn't following, a path that was making me happy. I wasn't with people who were making me happy. So why was I trusting that I was going to be happy in the future? So it took, I think if I want to be happy, then I need to currently be doing what's going to be making me happy in the future. So I
Yeah.
think I have trust in that. I think I am on the road to that.
Yeah. Well, it's a process. It's beautiful, and it's,
It
the
is.
journey of being where you are, and um, letting people inside, and know that it can be hard at times, but if you keep pushing through and you find those people in those places, you get there,
Yeah.
and then you keep sharing, and your energy keeps flowing and lighting up the world. So that's great. I'm so excited. I'm so excited, Nicole. I'm so excited that we can get to know each other.
I know, I'm
again,
excited too.
you are so kind to offer, and I'm excited to share this with others. If people want to get in touch with you and they want to follow you and they want to participate in all the goodness that you're putting out there, please let everybody know the best way
Yeah,
to.
so you can subscribe to me on YouTube. If you want to subscribe, it's Nicole Rafiee. Rafiee is spelled Rafiee. Same for Instagram, Twitter. I think that's really all I'm on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you on TikTok yet?
I am on TikTok.
I saw you do a little TikTok.
Yes. I am on TikTok. My TikTok is Nikki Nasty. NIKKINASTY. Yeah. I'm not like a frequent TikToker. I can't get into it. I'm good at longer videos, not so much like 15-second videos, but I'm on there sometimes.
Cool. Well, I will make sure we're going to have this as a podcast as well, and I'm going to make sure that we include all of your information, all of your social media, and anything that you're working on. And we'll just have people reach out to you and follow you and see where this journey takes you, because you
Awesome.
are amazing, exciting, and very generous. So
Thank you.
thank you so much for being here, and I
Thanks for
look forward
having
to
me.
continuing this relationship. I've learned a lot, and I know so many other people have as well. So again, thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you.
And